Hi, this is Son Stover. I'll be making truffles today. I'll be making two types. First will be the original truffles with original Oreos. We're going to coat that in the Baker's semi-sweet chocolate, seen here. And then I'm also going to make mint white chocolate Oreos. So I'm going to use mint Oreos. I'm going to use white chocolate. Normally I would use the Baker's white chocolate, but they didn't have that at the store, so I'm going to be using Ghirardelli for this one. First thing we need to do is we need to crush the Oreos. So you can either, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use a food processor to do that. I'm gonna make, probably do the original ones first and then do the mint ones second. You either need to use a food processor or you can use a gallon Ziploc bag and just start smashing them up. But that can take quite a while. Something too is you'll notice that this is like a normal 14.3 ounce package of Oreos. That's what you want. This one is a family size. It's a little bit more, so I'll have to not use the entire package. I'll have to use, about 14 ounces of that. And then the rest just won't get used. Okay, so as you can see, I manually broke these up into about quarters as I was putting them in there. That just kind of helps the food processor not deal with such huge chunks. So I'm gonna get this started. The Oreos are now in this fine crumble. So that's exactly what you're looking for. At this point, what you want to do is you want to take about, if you're using a food processor, you want to take maybe about 1/8 of a cup of this and set it aside. If you chose to crush the Oreos up using a gallon Ziploc bag, then what you can instead do is you're going to have a bunch of the cookie crumbles that stick to the plastic bag lining. So you can just use that instead later in the recipe. Set aside about 1/8 of a cup of the Oreo cookie mixture. So I'm just setting this aside in a bowl right now. That's the original Oreos. Now I'm going to do the mint Oreos. I already crushed them up again. That's about 14 ounces, just like a normal package. So I'm gonna go ahead and get the food processor started on this. As you can see here, this is the mint Oreos that have been crushed up in the food processor. That's about 2 ounces of that. You got same thing for the original Oreos. Next, you got your cream cheese. So if you're going to use a microwave, you can soften this in the microwave for about 20 seconds. Obviously remove it from the foil lining. What I did instead is I just set it at room temperature for a while, but we're going to mix it in 1 8-ounce package into here, and we're going to mix it up until it's a consistent mixture. And then we're going to take a separate 8-ounce package, put it in with the original Oreos, and mix it up until it's so it has consistency throughout, and there's no streaks. Okay, so I cut up my softened cream cheese into pieces, and I'm just going to start stirring this. And if your cream cheese is not softened enough, you end up breaking your wooden spoon. So this is what you want. So notice how it's even consistency all throughout. There's no white streaks of cream cheese. So next I'm going to add an 8-ounce package of softened cream cheese to my regular Oreo mixture, and hopefully without breaking a wooden spoon this time. So I just want to show you, notice how I'm mixing this and there's still some white streaks in here. You don't want that. So you got to keep stirring it. Okay, so this is an even consistency now. There's no white streaks in it. So that's my original Oreo. So actually, I didn't mention earlier, but while I was mixing this up, my mint one was actually in the refrigerator. So hopefully that helps it in a little bit when I go to make the 1-inch balls. That'll make it a little bit easier because it'll be a little bit firmer and stick together better. So what I'm gonna do is, because this one's actually already a little bit cold, is I'm gonna start making 1-inch balls on a cookie sheet. And I'm gonna put this in the refrigerator while I'm doing that. So these are the mint truffles that I'm gonna be making. So I went ahead and put them in 1-inch balls. I got 20 of them out of that. Depending on exactly what size you do, you can get more. So this is gonna go in the refrigerator now while I get the original truffle mixture out of the refrigerator and start putting those in 1-inch balls. Okay, so this is the original Oreo. I've got 28 of the balls. Made them a little bit smaller so I was able to get more of them. Usually you get around between 25 and 30 depending on the size you do. So I'm gonna put these in the refrigerator and we're moving along to melting chocolate. Since the mint Oreos were already in the fridge and we're gonna coat them with white chocolate, I went ahead and I'm starting to melt the white chocolate. Now you can microwave them according to the instructions of the package that you're using. I believe it's like you microwave them every 30 seconds, you stir it. You do that for about 2 minutes. After that point, you start microwaving it like every 10 seconds, stirring it. You don't want to burn it and you want to make sure it's consistent and smooth throughout. Also, whenever you're melting chocolate, you must make sure there's no water at all. So all of your all your utensils and everything need to be completely dry. All right, so I am going to do something I've never done before. I'm actually gonna try and melt it on the stove using indirect heat. So I got a pot here with some water. I've got it medium low for now. We'll see how that works for me, but it's starting to melt, as you can see. So I'm gonna keep stirring this. I've never melted it this way, but I wanna try something new. You're also gonna add 1 teaspoon of oil to this. I use canola oil. You can also use vegetable oil. So it's melting along. It's been a couple minutes now. I've been stirring it pretty consistently. There's still some chunks in there, so I'm gonna keep stirring it. Okay, so I just pulled it off the pot, turned off my burner there on the stove. So as you can see, this is really smooth and consistent. So the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna take the mint Oreo balls and I'm going to coat them in this and put it back on the cookie sheet. And then as I'm going throughout, I'm gonna sprinkle it with the topping that I set aside earlier. So as you can see, I'm coating the Oreo cookie ball in the chocolate. And then I'm using my hand to do this. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna toss it back and forth between these 2 spoons, which helps get rid of some of the excess. And then I drop it over here. Once I do that, I take those crumbs and just kind of sprinkle them on there like that. It makes a nice little topping to it. Now you wanna you don't wanna wait until the very end to put those crumbles on there. Reason being, if you wait until the end, remember this is in the refrigerator, the coldness of the cookie balls are going to cause that chocolate to harden. Once it's hardened, these crumbles don't stick. So while this is still wet, I want to put those crumbs on there. So you got to do it every 3 to 5 coatings that you do. You want to go through and cover them in the Oreo dust. Okay, so this is the mint Oreo with white chocolate. So these are done. I'm going to put these in the refrigerator. I'm now getting to work. I'm melting my Baker's semi-sweet chocolate, 8 ounces of this. With 1 teaspoon of canola oil. So my semi-sweet chocolate is moving along nicely. It's got some chunks in it, but heating the water with medium-low heat in the lower compartment with the glass mixing bowl on top, it is working rather nicely actually. So I'm gonna keep stirring this until it's done. Okay, so I'm taking this is the original Oreo cookie balls. I'm dunking them in the chocolate that I melted. I'm coating it and then putting on the cookie sheet. And as you can see, as I'm going through these, I'm sprinkling some of that leftover Oreo powder on top of them. And if you didn't use a food processor and you instead use a gallon Ziploc to smash up your Oreos, you can actually scrape the Oreo crumbs from the lining of the plastic bag. And that's where you can get the little topping for these. Okay, so I finished with these. These are the original Oreo with the semi-sweet chocolate. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this in the refrigerator. So both cookie sheets are gonna be in the refrigerator for probably about 45 minutes to an hour or so before you wanna eat them. You want them to be completely hardened. And I did not have room for 2 cookie sheets, so I ended up using yogurt containers to do a little trickery here. So anyway, that's how I was able to get them both to fit on 1 rack. And this is the final product. These are the original ones, and this is the mint white chocolate ones. Hope you enjoyed it.